I'm the Features Managing Editor at Playbill.com, and we've been putting this together, and I'm super excited to be here. I do this for a living every day, ask people questions, but not in front of 1 million people, so this will be fun. What I do is I get to tell stories, and I've interviewed all of these guys before, and got to tell the story of how they're telling this story, which has been amazing. First off, let me have everyone introduce themselves, starting with Daniel.
Hi, everybody. My name is Daniel Durant. Hi there. I'm Sandra Mae Frank, and this is my nickname, or sign name as we say it, and I play Venla.
Hi, I'm Krysta Rodriguez. This is my sign name, and I play Ilsa.
Hi, I'm Boniello. My sign name is this, it's like an A to an X, and I play the voice of Moritz.
My name is Boeck. This is Liff, and I play the voice of Venla.
Hey, can you hear me? I'm Andy Mientus. My sign name is this.
My name is Austin P. McKenzie. I play Michaela. And my sign name is this.
Hey, I'm Spencer Liff. My sign name is this. And I'm choreographed Spring Awakening. Hi, I'm TJ Kearney. I'm the production stage manager, and my name sign is this.
How many of you guys have seen the original production of Spring Awakening? How many of you have seen this production of Spring Awakening? And how much has it changed your life? Because it's changed mine. Awesome. Guys, I want to open with talking about the open letter to Broadway from Marlee Matlin. I think it was, did you guys read it? It was on Playbill.com. In case you haven't, what she says, she said, you know, as our show comes to a close, I've had several opportunities to observe that despite how the Broadway community and audiences have embraced us, there's still a long way to go in terms of accessibility for theatergoers who are deaf or hard of hearing. She goes on to say, I'm able to watch TV, I'm able to go to the opera, but going to the theater, you have to wait sometimes for deaf performers until there is a captioned performance. And I want to start with that and ask you guys about where we need to go to make theater more accessible for all.
Okay, well, for me, when I'm there looking to do an impromptu show, and it's really got great reviews and I want to see it tomorrow, I'm not able to. So I'd really like to have interpreters on site and the accessibility more spontaneously available so that I don't have to wait so long. Come on, technology being what it is, I should be able to avail myself of it. So I know, progress is coming, but it's tough to wait.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. They need to develop things more related to technology and apps, and so that every day people have the opportunities to go and take advantage of these opportunities. The possibilities are limitless with all the technology out there, and we have what it takes to be accessible. We just need to do it.
Yeah, our producer, Ken Davenport, has been working on a new way of accessibility in the theater that is on your phone, which, maybe having your phone open in the theater is not my favorite thing, but if it can add accessibility to people and it's for a good reason and it's opening up doors for deaf and hard of hearing people to experience theater, then I'm all for it. So we're getting, there's progress being made in that area, and that's really exciting. And it takes people who are passionate about it, who won't let the steam run out when the show is closed and when we're not in your face all the time about it.
Speaking to that, tell me about, Sandra and Danielle specifically. You're in town, you're in New York City, most actors on their off nights are going to see other shows. They're supporting their friends. What have you been able to see, or what has been the challenge? What have you not been able to see because of that?
What shows are you referring to?
Any shows on Broadway, just going to see shows on Broadway and...
Yeah, it's been a big problem. I've wanted to see shows. I've tried to go on the last day, and there's not been any accessibility available to me. And it's really disappointing to see that. I'm proud to go support this community, and I want to be a part of that, but it takes it both ways to make that happen. I'm ready, and I would enjoy that, but I think it needs to be on both sides.
For instance, Austin over there makes me jealous because he saw 2 different shows last Wednesday. I couldn't do that. If it had captioning that night, but it didn't. In 2 weeks I could, but 2 weeks, come on. I wanted to go when Austin went, and I couldn't.
I will say that the Broadway community has been, they've offered us certain nights, because we have Wednesdays off, and there have been several shows that have offered us caption performances, and so I think we've had a chance to see. We saw Fun Home and Something Rotten, and Aladdin.
Carrie's Incident was interpreted too. It wasn't just captioned.
Hands-on, yeah. Songbird. Yes. Yeah, and I think when we first got here, Amazing Grace did a performance for us, and they actually interpreted the final song in sign language. So while we have, there is a long way to go, we have seen a really open-hearted community, welcoming us and giving us, what they can, and I just think we need to keep going for sure.
Absolutely.
Can you guys talk to me about deaf culture? Some people see being deaf as a disability, but it's really not. There's a culture behind it. And Daniel, actually, during one of our first interview together, he was telling me that there's a difference between a lowercase d and a capital D, which I did not know. And that, with deaf with a capital D is being part of the deaf culture. Can you talk to us about that?
Sure. Well, really, to me, the word deaf can mean many things. It's not really about big D, little d. I mean, there's many differences involved, but my perspective is that a small d would represent they're not really immersed in deaf culture. They're just maybe audiologically deaf, and maybe they don't have that exposure to the cultural richness that's available out there. Deaf with a capital D means you're immersed in the language and the culture, and that's very much a part of who you are and how you identify, and you're proud of that. It's just a sense of community pride. It's not something to feel like I need to be fixed or someone needs to do something for me or I'm handicapped. It's just an identifier of how I relate to the world.
Well, yeah, I would agree. Okay, I was just waiting for the interpreter to be writing for me. But I disagree in some ways. I'm not a capital D per se in the way that Daniel sees it, and there's no one perspective. It's not a monolithic group. I didn't see it as hearing or deaf. I did not personally have much awareness of oppression. I was maybe fortunate in that way. I went to elementary school, and the first time, though, I did experience a little bit of oppression now looking back, but I didn't realize the kids were, making fun of me perhaps, or just aware that I was different. But they still played with me. So for me, the uppercase, lowercase is a matter of perspective, but I don't really want to perpetuate that idea. I want to have more of a world view. I don't really want a separatist view. So therefore, I'm just going to say, hey, I get hearing culture, I get deaf culture, they're both beautiful cultures. I'm just going to take that position.
Also, let's give it up for Broadway being the most diverse season right now ever. To that, as a cast, what have you guys guys learned about each other and about different cultures and diversity? Let's start over on this side. Andy?
I mean, that's a huge question because it's, you know, and it's a good one to ask this weekend as our run is coming to a close because it's making me look at this entire experience over the last couple of years that we've been developing this. You know, like Daniel and I started this process with the first workshop of this production Spring Awakening like 2 years ago now, and we've seen it all the way here in front of all of you. I didn't know a deaf person before starting this process. You know, I'm still trying to learn as much as I can every day about the language, about the culture, about, you know, what is right to say and what is not right to say. And I feel so grateful for that. It was a world that I was completely ignorant to, and now a world that I marvel at, and I have friends that I value so much, and I regret that I still can't talk to them as fluently as I wish I could. I hope that someday I can. So the amount that I've learned about diversity in terms of the deaf community is unquantifiable, and I can't tell you the difference between before and after. And that has made me look at diversity in a totally different way. Diversity is not just about race, it's about all kinds of different experiences and being inclusive to as many kinds of people as possible. So it's really broadened my worldview in profound ways.
Going along that, everything he said I completely agree with, but also it's, you know, having someone like Allie in our cast, who is, if you don't know, she's in a wheelchair, the first person ever to be on Broadway in a wheelchair. And you know, just now being as close with her as I am and seeing things just in the world, like walking around, realizing like, you know, we make a joke together, we'll say like, oh, this place is not accessible, like, but literally, the amount of buildings in New York City alone that I enter that I'm like, wow, Allie would not be able to get into this building is astounding to me. And, you know, just becoming friends with someone in that situation, it just puts everything you're seeing in just a different, you see everything completely differently. So now that I'm friends with these guys, I'm constantly thinking about ways that we can work together to help them and ways that we can help Allie and people in her situation, and just ways that everybody can have the same experience or an equal experience in life is, I think, very important. And I think if you guys can, after this, look up all the organizations that are working on these things, you know, look up whatever you can, and if you feel so inclined, then help spread the word, do whatever you can.
I also think too that, you know, when Ken brought this show to Broadway, it was a big risk. It was like this risky thing to bring this show because no one was sure how people would respond, and I think this show has really shown that inclusivity or diversity doesn't need to be a fringe. It's something that, you know, we had so much interest from the hearing community about the show. It wasn't just something that appealed to deaf audiences. It was like, this story was a story that appealed to everybody, and I think that going forward, it is important to show that, you know, the world is full of diversity. That's what the world looks like, and so I think it's important that we convey that, you know, in theater and art and all art forms, because that's what the world is. It is full of diverse. Everybody is, you know, different.
Speaking to friendship and becoming friends, what are some of the backstage shenanigans that we need to know at Spring Awakening? I know that there are some crazies in that cast. I've seen it on YouTube and Twitter. Give me the scoop.
I've got a camera roll full of photos of Daniel and Alex in my dressing room while I'm on stage. I come home.
That sounds real bad.
It is bad. I don't need to clarify at all. No, there's a moment where most of us are on stage and they're not, and for months I would come back from into my dressing room and there would be photos of them goofing around in our bathroom or on my little couch bed or playing with my makeup or dub smashing the scenes. So I had a lot of that. That was really fun. That doesn't happen as much anymore.
You better release those dub smashes.
Yeah.
We want them. Please don't.
I have them all.
Sometimes we like to repeat some of the lines in the show with very extreme, harsh German accents.
Can we get an example?
I don't ever say them. I think who says it the most? I think it'd be Andy, probably. Or no, maybe Alex. You know,
Which one?
the buckle one.
Oh no, it wasn't a German accent. It was like, what if like Melchior was like a really entitled like 7-year-old girl? like with a ball.
With a buckle?
With a buckle? Like these really, really heavy.
It's always
heavy
my lines you guys make fun of.
Not always yours, not only yours. Like really, it's usually better when it's just the very heavy lines of the show, because the show gets super, super heavy. So like, how do you keep yourself from going crazy when like terrible, terrible things are happening to children? Well, obviously it's to put strange inflections on the way that they say it.
Austin and I used to have a moment, and we had to stop. Well, first we were not on stage together in that moment anymore, but we had to stop doing it because we would laugh. It was too much laughter. But there's a lyric in the show that we changed. I won't tell you what it is, but we changed to "I like cats," and we had like a really good time trying to sneak in "I like cats," like in the thing, and we would sign it. I like cats. So we had a good time with that, and
We also like to add other shows into this. Like for instance, in my dressing room, we joke about after the very serious scene where Melchior beats Venla. Once that scene finishes, "You Can't Stop the Beat" starts from here.
One time at Inner City Arts, do you remember at Inner City Arts where we first started, there was like this, you know, the ending of the show.
Yes.
There was two doors that we would go, and then we had to go and sneak into a closet when we all were going into heaven. And I remember one time the closet was accidentally locked, and we all were like, "You make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven." And we all just like smashed up against the door, and like we're hoping the audience didn't see it.
I think my favorite though in Broadway, there was one night I was working up in the office and I came down after the show and there's chalk writings on the ground in the rooms, but it wasn't just in one spot, it was literally all over backstage, like different messages from people. It's like, what is going on?
Like Marley's fart smell or something.
We have also we sing off stage during I Believe, and we're on two different sides of the stage. And Andy and Lexi and Allie and I have we have a singing group that we.
It's a dance party.
It's a dance party, a recording session. We do a lot of good like space work where we like put our headphones on and we like get everyone to unwrap our scarf and take our last sip of tea and then
Take off your white strips.
Yeah. You're ready to go. And and TJ's usually there for that. The other day we did like a ring around the TJ where we like danced around and stuff. So stuff's going on, guys. You have
So
no
what we're
idea.
saying is we're very, very professional.
I think this cast loves each other more than I've ever seen a cast, and I think it's the journey that we took and where we started, and we had nothing but each other in the beginning, and we've held on to each other to come all the way to Broadway, and that's such a unique moment. And I know it's super emotional this weekend knowing that it's sort of, this is coming to an end, but we've had each other and so much of each other in our lives for the past at least year, and some of us all the way back to 2 years ago. So this is such a unique, special group. It's nothing like it.
Spencer, what was your biggest challenge starting this project? Because your choreography is incorporating words. You're relaying a message. You're relaying American Sign Language. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced in the very beginning?
I mean, I had never met a deaf person I had never signed when I walked into the room, and Michael Arden and I had done some really cool projects together, and we took it on because it was scary and terrifying. And if you look at those first days of rehearsal, no one could talk to each other, no one could communicate. It was so incredibly meta to what the show is about. And on breaks, it was the deaf kids on one side and the hearing kids on the other side, and we all had to learn. And I was able to work with a deaf associate, and that forced us to break down and start to break down the walls. And I remember the first time I could look in Daniel's eyes and have a conversation with him. That was a huge milestone for us, rather than what's happening now in this triangle. But yeah, it was a challenge to not lose the actual words and the information that needed to be relayed, and to try to do more than just stand and sign. And also, people don't understand, I think, that the translation wasn't just there. It's not a given. We had to work on that tirelessly for months and make it better and better, because you had to take the signs and match them to music and match them to rhythm and then do them in sync. And so that's not, there's 6 versions of each line that we could have chosen to have that be the signing. So then it was, what's the most visual? What can we take and turn into something that looks more like a port-a-bra? It was endless options, and it hasn't been done enough to have there be any rules. So we got to find it as we went and make it better every time. We've come back to it 3 times, and we've never stopped striving to make it better. We've never stopped working on the translation. So it was a giant learning process. And then Allie, who, that's something else that I had never gotten to work with before, and it was, again, terrifying on the first day, and I pulled her aside and was like, I don't, never done this before. It's like, I'm not gonna call you, I don't call them, everybody has to get their shit done, sorry. We gotta it was sort of like, if we can't do it today, you'll do it by tomorrow, and she came up with her own versions, and we were able to to go from there. We all learned from each other.
Yeah, I remember, this is a kind of a non sequitur story, but I remember Spencer had a warm up before every rehearsal. We had a very, very intense warm up, and I had just finished chemo, and I was like, I got to the thing, and I go, well, surely I don't have to do this warm-up. I'm an old lady with no hair, like, there's no way. And I look, they're doing push-ups, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do this. And I look over at Allie, and she's like, pushing up on her chair, and I was like, oh, damn it! That was like my first day of rehearsal, and I was like, okay, nobody slacks. Nobody rests on anything that they weren't born with. We are all using everything we have to its full capacity.
Yeah, from the very beginning, between all of the creative teams, no one was treated differently. Everyone had an equal playing field. Whether you're deaf, hearing, in a wheelchair, injured, you were expected to do everything, no matter what. Everyone was treated equally on the show, which was really nice to see.
Krysta,
Yeah.
we, when we had talked right after your diagnosis, you had told me, I don't know if I'm ready to jump back into 8-show weeks.
Yeah,
and then here she is, ladies and gentlemen. Krysta, you have been such an inspiration for so many people. You have just been fearless. What are some of the things you've heard at the stage door? I'm sure people you've been inspiring to many. What are some of the things that have touched you in turn?
Yeah, I mean, it's really amazing when people have, watched things that I've done or read the blog and kind of known where my year has been. And there is something really wonderful about hearing that somebody was touched by that, but I sort of did it to be helped myself in a way. Like I knew that some people might see, oh, I understand now what's going on. I just kind of wanted people to know what was happening, but really what I got out of it was people sharing their stories and me feeling a little less alone in a territory that is, it's rare for a woman my age to have breast cancer. So when you get a diagnosis like this, you think, I must be the only person in the world going through this, and then you hear, that's the great thing about the internet and the way that I can communicate with mass amounts of people. And it's a learning curve too. I mean, sometimes I don't feel like an inspiration. I'm not, not every day is rosy, and I don't have a perfect outlook about the whole thing. And so sometimes I feel the weight of having that, but what really helps me is when people really share their stories and their triumphs and their discoveries, and that makes me feel like a student of this journey of what we're all going on. I don't really want to feel like the leader. I want to be learning. I want us all to be learning. So it's been it's been a wild experience, and to know that so many people go through it too has been really comforting and helped me through the whole process.
Let's talk about stage door interaction. Who has stage door at Spring Awakening? Me too. Let's talk about stage door interaction. How has that been difficult? Has it been exciting? Have you heard inspirational stories?
It's a lot of things, stage dooring, and it is, and it's equal parts amazing, equal parts exhausting in some ways, because you just did a show, especially on the 2 show days and everything. But the thing that I try to keep into perspective, and it's just really important, because so many times I hear stories of people having a story where they met somebody in a show that meant so much to them, and they met them, and that just only made the experience of seeing the show kind of blossom to another, like not only was the show really important to them, but the experience meeting the people who made the important show, it brings it to another level. So it's something that is very, very important for all of us and all actors, I think, to keep in perspective. But at the same time, it's also sometimes, like in the last few days, it has been brick cold to the point where you walk outside and it feels like you were punched in the lungs. So like, you want to go out and like really give the experience of like being kind and receptive, but also at the same time, like, I think like 2 nights ago I was like, hi, I'm not trying to be curt, but it's so cold that I just really want you guys to have fun, but I'm dying right now. So like, you want to try to do all of that, but it's also really important to remember, again, like, I don't know who I'm meeting at that stage door, because I still remember when I met John Gallagher Jr. when I saw Spring Awakening, and I told him how much it meant to me, his performance and everything like that. He was really cool to me, and it's something I remember, and now I try being basically in the exact same position to do the same thing. So I try not to be as outrageous as a human being as I can be. I try to be like normal and listen to people's stories and that. But we love when people come. We sometimes may seem like we're really tired, because we are. But it's important for everybody to remember that like everybody's excited and everybody's tired and everyone's having a different experience.
You look poised with your microphone.
I have really good posture.
Anyway, all right. Did you have anything, Deb?
No, I thought that was really well put. I think the stage door was a formative experience for all of us. I'm sure all of us had done it at some point, except for Spencer, who's been on Broadway since he was born.
2.
And it is. I mean, you got to know, like, if you're nervous to stage, or if you're nervous about meeting actors or something, like, we're nervous too. Like, it can be.
Yeah.
I have like crippling claustrophobia, and so, excuse me. Sometimes it gets really overwhelming, and you're taking pictures after you've done this show, and you're like at a weird angle, and it can be really scary. But that's when, like Alex said, I think about when I was coming up and admiring actors, and how it really is as much for us as it is for anybody, because we get to hear stories, we get to see directly the impact of what we're doing, and that's amazing. Some nights, if we are sick or tired or whatever and can't do it, like, it is a tough decision to make a lot of the time, because we know that we're disappointing people, and it really is disheartening when if you're not feeling well, say, but you choose not to call out, you choose to go on instead and push through the show, because people want to see it and see you in it. But you can't do the stage door, and then the only feedback you hear at the end of the night is how disappointed someone is that they couldn't meet you. That's hard to hear, because you understand, like, I've been in that position where I waited for Antonio Banderas to come out of the 9 stage door, and he never came out, and they told me he wasn't coming out, and I didn't believe them, so I waited longer, and he never did. We've all been there. So just,
I think it would be like an hour for Bernadette Peters.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for Bernadette Peters. Are you here, Bernadette? Yeah, so that's what I have to say about that.
Have there been any? We were just talking about pictures. Have there been any like terrible pictures that that's shown up? Like, oh, I had to leave that tweet.
This is my soapbox, because I am out there to take a picture with you. So we could take a photo, but I get the sneak attack. Like, I'm gonna walk away, and I'm like, no, this is why I'm standing here for you. And so there's a phone like underneath the playbill. So I'm like down here and it's like, and I've been blinded, the photo's terrible, and I am not above taking that phone, erasing that photo. I swear to God, because that will end up on Instagram. No. I am out there to take a picture with you, so we will take a good photo that we will like. I will also retake a photo because this is like a new epidemic where they're like selfie and it's only me and their face is like this half of their face. I said you're gonna get home and you're gonna be so mad that you're not in this picture. So I'll retake the photo and I'll put it. You know, I am out there for your yeah. Well, I am out there for your good photo. Okay. So let's all work together.
Good photos only. Who's the craziest in the cast? Wise?
Alex Wise.
Yes. Yeah, Alex Wise.
Alex Wise will sometimes send pictures to our dressing room of his bare ass.
I think maybe Sean and Catherine.
Sean and Catherine too.
Basically anyone who's not here because they couldn't RSVP and wake up in time.
I'd say the whole boys' dressing room floor.
Yeah.
Just, we're like 2 floors above them, and after a show, it's non-stop from their dressing room.
Ooh,
Singing and
speaking of, what kind of dressing room music do you got going on?
Austin.
Austin
Austin has
Krysta.
Sia on a loop.
You like Sia?
They have
anyone
Sia
has?
listening parties.
I like some Sia.
They also really like to sing Mama Who Bore Me at the top of their lungs. And Allie and I share a room and we're right below them and we're like, we got a show in 10 minutes. How are you gonna do that?
We're just reminding you the lyrics.
Yeah, sometimes it's sad, sometimes it's bad, it's confusing.
My dressing room is probably the most unique out of all of them because it's me and Daniel, Josh, and Miles who are all deaf, and I'm the only hearing person in the dressing room. So the best part about that is that it forced my ASL to get a lot better a lot quickly, and now I have this like fun hybrid of like real signs, finger spelling, and then just like begging Daniel to show me a sign with like charades.
That's true. That's very true.
He's very patient with it. But the best part is I like to just warm up for like 10 minutes before the show, just my voice and everything like that. Daniel doesn't care. Miles doesn't care.
Go right ahead.
Of course.
Doesn't bother me.
No, right. But the best is I'll be like, I'm sorry, Josh, I have to sing, and Josh will go, okay, pop out his hearing aids.
We can hear you on the other side of the
I know
wall.
you can hear me. I hear you make fun of me.
There was one time Josh was listening to Safer from First Date, like on repeat. And text from Alex being like, we're hearing Safer again. We're hearing Safer again. We're hearing Safer again. Josh was like, do you know who this is? And I was like, yes, I can hear it. I know.
But at the same time, Josh also put up with like the 3 weeks of me trying to learn the rap from Guns and Chips. I'm not doing it now. There's no way. I'm not Tinkerbell, no amount of applause.
There was no pre-interview.
And the last time I tried to rap something with Josh on Instagram, Andy said, "Why are you white like you're running out of time?"